Hello students, Professor Benavides here. I want to go ahead and go over Appendix B with you. It's called Keyboard Shortcuts and Gestures, and this is a great way of ending this class. It kind of like summarizes many of the things that we've learned. Now, before I go ahead and go over Appendix B, I want to tell you I'm not going to be able to cover all the keyboard shortcuts. Go ahead and refer to Appendix B in your book for that. But I start off my little presentation today by offering two YouTube videos that I thought were informative. The first one goes over something that I don't remember our book covered. You know how we did snippets? I mean, I used the snipping tool most of the time, but there was one particular technique that he covered there that I'd like to just go over real fast, which is the Windows key Shift S. Let me go ahead and show you that. So Windows key Shift S. And that lets me like click and drag out an area, and that goes to the clipboard. And then I can go ahead and bring that into a document or whatever. The other one here, 15 shortcuts. I went ahead and did a little summary over here. I think practically all of them are in the appendix that we're covering here. So now, the actual appendix. We first start off reviewing general window shortcuts. And of course, we'll start with the Windows key. If you press the Windows key in release, you get your start menu. As you can see, it's not the typical one. I don't have all of that, 8.1 stuff on the right-hand side of the start menu there. Got tired of it. Okay. So, getting to the Action Center, it's a Windows key A. Okay. Pressing Escape gets it away. How to display the desktop? Windows key D. Okay. And external screen mode, that's Windows key P. This is what you would use if you want to make a presentation. Right now, you'll notice I've got mine set to extended because I've got dual screen. Okay. And then Windows key I, that brings us to the Windows settings. Windows key V shows us what's in the clipboard, the multi-clipboard. And I can then go ahead and choose which one I want to pop into my document. And then Windows key X, which gives me the utilities menu that gives me access to many of the programs that power users need to use, or technicians, such as Device Manager, Windows PowerShell, Computer Management, Disk Management. All of these are really, in the early days of Windows 10, they had the control panel on here, and then they took it off for historical purposes. I'll mention that. If you want to select everything in the document, you go ahead and do Control A. Let me go ahead and simulate that. Let me go ahead and open up a file in Word. If I want to select everything, that would be Control A. Now, the reason why you do that is maybe you want to copy it or cut it. It's a very fast way. You don't want to be like if it's like 10 pages long, you don't want to be like scrolling forever. So Control A is a really good way of selecting everything. Opening the Task Manager, that's Control Shift Escape. And when you open up the Task Manager, we learned that it's going to open up the way you left it before. So the first time you come into this, chances are you're going to have to click on More Details. And from here, you can go ahead and see the processes, performance, app history, startup, etc. And the startup is really important. You want to see what kind of programs are being loaded onto your computer when you start up the computer. So the Task Manager, very important. I go there sometimes when there's a program that's not responding and I have to go ahead and kick it out of memory. Doing a screenshot is done with the print screen. I don't think your book explained that the right way, but the print screen puts whatever's on the desktop into the clipboard, and then Alt Print Screen does that, but only for the current window. As far as the File Explorer is concerned, some of these things work for other applications. Like if you're in the browser, Control N starts another window. It does so in the File Explorer as well as in, you know, the File Explorer. There's also permanent delete. Now, if you just select a file and press delete, it goes to the recycle bin. Shift delete does not. Okay, so I guess I could demo that. Let me go ahead and see if I could. Let me get rid of everything I've got in my recycle bin. All right, and let me create a simple file to delete on the desktop. And I'll just make a text document and just call it demo. All right. So if I send this to the recycle bin, see, it goes there, right? Control Z, everybody loves that, takes it back. Now, if I want to permanent delete this, I'm going to go ahead and hold down the Shift key and drag it to the recycle bin and release, and look at that. There's no crumpled up paper in the recycle bin. It was permanently deleted. Okay. Other things about the File Explorer, when you come in here, like say, for example, this is the File Explorer. If I press the Home key, it takes me to the very top. If I press the End key, it takes me to the very bottom. Of course, page up and page down allows me to scroll a page at a time. If I want to rename a file, I would select it and press the F2 key. Notice how it's kind of like selected. It puts you kind of like in edit mode where I can go ahead and rename that file. Pressing Escape and close. So that brings us to the taskbar. Now, Windows key T, kind of neat. If I do Windows key T, that allows me to circulate among the programs that are open on that are on the taskbar. And Control Windows key D allows me to see what's on the desktop. Let's go ahead and give that a try. All right. Oh, Control Windows key D is giving me different desktops. So let me verify that. If I hold down the Windows key tab, you'll notice I went ahead and created a whole bunch of little desktops, up here. You can close them so that we can go back to where we were, and we'll give it another opportunity here. So I wanted to do Alt Windows key D. So Alt Windows key D, and that gives me the calendar. Again, so Alt Windows key D gives me the calendar. If it's kind of like a toggle switch. If you press the D key with those two keys down, you can alternate, between them. Okay. So Windows key number. If you hold down the Windows key number, that allows me to then open up that particular application that's on the taskbar. Chrome was my first one on the taskbar, so it opened up. If I hold down the Windows key and the number 2, that opens up. I have Edge on there. You can continue to the File Explorer was my third one on there. So that allows me to go ahead and circulate. It's a quick way to open up stuff on here. And I kind of like jumped the gun a little bit. I was doing the virtual thing, but let's continue going. We'll get to the virtual screens in just a minute. The jump list, Alt Window key 1, gives me the jump list for Chrome. I love jump lists. Let's do this the jump list for my Edge browser. So from here, I've got a lot of important things that I can launch from here and do. That's the jump list. So then that brings us to the touch screen. You can just imagine, I don't have a touch screen, but if I swipe from the right, I get the Action Center. That would be the same thing as Windows key A, right? If I swipe from the left, I get Task View, which is Windows key Tab. Pressing Escape. Finally, we get to where I went into by mistake. Task view, timeline. So Windows key tab. And you can create desktops here, if you want to, by clicking on the plus sign. But you can also do it manually with Control Windows key D. So Control Windows key D, I'm creating desktops. Okay. And if I want to circulate through them, I hold down the Control and Windows key, and I can use the left arrow key to move through the different desktops. If I want to close the desktops, it's Control Windows key and F4. So I'm holding down the Control key, the Window key, and I'm pressing F4. That's gone. F4, it's gone. F4, it's gone, and it brings me back to where I am. So if you want to do keyboard shortcuts, or if you just want to go ahead and go into the task view and just do it with your mouse, it works either way. So managing windows, I've used this one for a long time, Alt F4. So that if you start any window, let's say, for example, let me go ahead and just open up Word. Okay, so I've got Word on here. If I want to go ahead and close this, I mean, of course, I just click on close, but if I do Alt F4, closes it. It closes browsers, it closes any window. Okay, you want to switch among the open programs, that would be Alt Tab. And when you release, it takes, like right now, I'm highlighting the File Explorer. When I release, it takes me to the File Explorer. So I hold down the Alt key, press Tab, and that allows me to move between my open programs. Okay. All right. So Alt Tab is really great when you're like making presentations and you want to go ahead and move between, say, a spreadsheet and a presentation. Moving through the programs with the arrow keys. So if you do Control Alt Tab, let's try that out. This is a little bit different. Control Alt Tab. And when you do that and release everything, it stays on the screen. So then you use the arrow keys to move to the program that you want and press Enter, and it takes you there. Slightly different way of doing almost the same thing, except when you're doing Alt Tab, it doesn't allow you to see them all on the screen at one time. Refresh is pretty handy at F5, and it works in any browser, not just a window. Let's say you're looking at a website, or look, for example, the HTML file that I'm creating here. I make it in Word. But if I have the file open and I edit it in Word and I go back and look at the HTML file, it doesn't show the edits unless I refresh the screen. Of course, I could exit the file and come back in, or I could just press the F5 function key and it will refresh the screen and show the updates that I've made. Now this was kind of neat here, maximizing the window and minimizing the window. That's Windows key up arrow. Let's go ahead and give those a try. Windows key up arrow, or Windows key down arrow puts it into, restores it to a window on the desktop. I'm holding down the Windows key down arrow one more time, and that minimizes it. So if I hold down the Windows key and press the up arrow, that puts it in the restored mode, and then finally into maximize. Okay. Snap window to side of screen. That was kind of interesting here. So I hold down the Window key and then press the left arrow. See what happens? That puts that window on the other side here, you know? So I can hold down the Windows key and press the right arrow, and it moves it to the right side. So it's a nice little way of trying to find out where I want to go. And I'm just going up arrow, down arrow, left arrow, right arrow. And then when I do that, release everything, it'll give me the opportunity to choose what do I want on the other side. Let's say that I want this on the other side. So that's a great way of having two things up on the screen at the same time. Okay. So hopefully you found that one, informative as to how to snap windows to the side of the screen. Taking a peek of the desktop is Windows key comma. So Windows key comma just gives you a small, and it goes away really fast. So if you hold it down, lets you look at the desktop and then release. Okay. Languages, you hold on the Windows key and press the space bar, and you can choose, like if we have a Spanish keyboard and English keyboard, I can go back and forth between them. Inside of an application, who hasn't used Control-C, Control-X for cut, and then to paste it, it's Control-V. To undo, it's Control-Z, and to redo, it's Control-Y. Okay, to move to the beginning of a word, it's Control key and then the arrow key. And then Control left to go to the next one. Maybe I could probably demo that. Like right here, if I hold down the Control key and I'm pressing the right arrow key, see how it's taking me one word at a time? If I want to go back, I hold down the Control key and I'm pressing the left arrow key, and that's moving me back one word at a time. Okay. So that brings us to the Edge browser. Of course, the F5 for refresh, very important. Scrolling down a page, spacebar, that's pretty good. If you don't want to be getting your hand on the mouse, scroll up, shift spacebar. If you want to, we can go ahead and simulate that on here. So let me go ahead and put up, like for example, get some. Whoops, that's not what I want here. Let's go ahead and go to a website. And we can choose an article to read. Yeah, it's got enough stuff on here. Yeah. Okay, so if I press the space bar, it's taking me down. Okay. That can be very helpful. I mean, you know, maybe your mouse is too high up on your desk, and shift spacebar takes you back up. So again, to repeat, just press the spacebar to go down, shift spacebar to go back up. Piece of cake. Okay, to find text, it's Control F. To print, it's Control P. Now, those have been around for a long time, and they work in other browsers. I've used them in Firefox. So like, for example, Control P brings up the dialog to print something. Okay. Getting to the home page of Edge, the Edge browser. So if I'm right here, I want to go to the home page of the Edge browser, you would do Alt Home. So Alt and then Home takes me to, well, whatever web page I've set to home, right? Then let's see now, print, we did that, Control P. Turn on and off carrier browsing. And a lot of people are not really sure about what that really means, but what it gives you is a little eye bar so that you can select text. Let me see if we can go ahead and try this out. Oh, got to have some text here. See this text here? I don't have an, or do I have this on? Let's see now. I'm going to press F7. Turn on carrier browsing. Oh, there's that insertion point. That's what we're talking about here. See this little insertion point? I'm moving it around. It's kind of turns it into like a Word document. So now I can use Shift and the arrow keys to select text. I know I could have done this with the mouse, but this gives me that little insertion point. Pressing F7 takes that off. That's what's called carrot browsing. Okay. See, now I don't have that. I have to actually click. I can't do it with the keyboard. Okay. Photos pretty much works like almost any browser here. You use your arrow keys to navigate through your photos, and one thing that it does is very similar here is like Control plus sign, Control minus, but you use Windows key plus, Windows key minus, right? And then the 0 to bring it back. So dialog boxes, you can, if you want to check something on the checkbox, you just press the space bar. If you want it to go in effect, you press Enter. Let me go ahead and show you that. Let's say, for example, if I go into Word, let me open up a dialog box. I can navigate through this with the Tab key, just pressing Tab. Once I get to the little check boxes, I can select it by pressing the space bar. And when I want that to go into effect, I just click OK. Click. I Tab, till I get to the OK, right? See, right now I'm on set as default. Finally, I've got the OK selected with my tab key, because it's all, then I press enter, okay? So when you press enter, that whatever is on the dialog will go into effect. Select the highlighted command. Game bar is Windows key G. Let's take a quick look at this. Windows key G. For those of you like, you know, your game box or Microsoft gamers, I kind of wanted to do what the book talked about, recording the screen, but it said that my video card was not compatible. I can do print screens from here of a game activity, but I wanted to go ahead and do a video of shared game experience with someone else, but I'm not able to do that little demo. So then that brings us to the ease of access. Just a quick way to get there, Windows key U. And here you can go ahead and you know, make changes for special needs. You know, such as make everything brighter, turn off. Some people don't like transparency. It's not good on the eyes for everybody. Some people don't like the animation. You know, it's not good on the eyes for some people. Okay, so you want to change things according to, you know, what the needs are. Then that brings us to the magnifier. So you can start this with Windows key plus sign. Let's go ahead and give that a try. And it's gonna come up however you left it. Right now I left it in lens view. You can use keyboard shortcuts to go through the different screen modes. Okay. Or you can go ahead and do them like right here. If I go ahead and click on views, you can see that the keyboard shortcut for full screen is Control-Alt-F. For lens, it's Control-Alt-L. For docked, it's Control-Alt-D. Let's do the Control-Alt-D. Now, the Control-Alt-D, what that does for us is it allows me to like zero in on something, okay? So that you can see it better, right? If you ever want to exit it, you can just click on the little X on there. And I think I exited the window by mistake. Okay, so coming back in. So that's, and I'm pretty much at the end here. That's the magnifier. To exit the magnifier, it's Windows key escape. Rather, I mean, I'm stuck on using a mouse. What can I say? But it's Windows key escape to get out of the magnifier. I do think that the magnifier, I have actually seen professors use the magnifier really good. Like, I remember when our projectors were really bad, and I saw this one professor, he had some code up on the screen, students couldn't see the code. He went ahead and used the magnifier, and the magnifier helped some students see the code better so that they could go ahead and type it in. So you're gonna go ahead and use whatever tools you need to use. So that's what the magnifier can do for you. So that's pretty much all I got to say, you know, about this presentation for today. You know, thank you very much. Goodbye.